So let's talk about one of the great classic stories of power, friendship, and a question that is honestly terrifying. What happens when a totally normal person suddenly gets the power of a god? We're going to break it all down.
Right out of the gate, we get this from Captain James T. Kirk. It's cryptic, it's chilling. His ship, the Enterprise, is right at the edge of the galaxy, about to push into the great unknown, when they stumble onto a signal from a ship that's been missing for 200 years. You heard that right, 2 centuries. So yeah, the impossible has definitely happened.
But hold on, this isn't a rescue mission. The signal they've found? It's coming from a disaster recorder, basically a black box from a ghost ship. This isn't a cry for help, it's a warning from the grave.
The recorder itself is a wreck, but the crew manages to piece together what happened, and it's not good. The SS Valiant got thrown to the edge of the galaxy, ran into some kind of unknown force, and then things get really weird. The captain starts obsessively researching ESP, and the very last thing they can make out from the log is a garbled, frantic order, an order for the crew to destroy their own ship. Why? What could possibly happen that makes self-destruction your only move?
Now, you'd think after hearing all that, they'd turn around, right? Nope. Captain Kirk makes the hard call. He says, look, other ships are going to come this way eventually. We have to find out what's out here. So they push forward, flying right into the same patch of space that probably killed the Valiant.
And boy, they do not have to wait long to find out if that was a good idea. The Enterprise hits the exact same thing that doomed the ship before it, and one man gets caught in the blast, kicking off a change that's going to threaten every single person on board.
They slam into this thing, this shimmering, violent wall of energy they call a galactic barrier. It just shreds the ship. The main engines burned out. They're stranded, years away from home. 9 crew members are killed on the spot. But for 2 others, something else happens. Something much, much stranger.
And this is where we meet helmsman Gary Mitchell. Now you gotta understand, this isn't just some random crewman. This is Kirk's best friend from the Academy. After they hit the barrier, his eyes start to glow this eerie silver. He starts reading books in the blink of an eye, and pretty soon he can move things just by thinking about it. See, the barrier didn't just hurt him, it unlocked something inside him, supercharging a tiny bit of potential into something, well, something godlike.
And here's the really creepy part. He's not in pain. He feels amazing. While Kirk is freaking out about his friend, Mitchell just casually brushes it off. You can already feel this cold distance growing between them. He's already starting to see regular old humanity as something small, something he's leaving in the dust.
His new powers don't just grow, they explode. One minute he's reading fast, the next he's reading minds. Then he's messing with the ship's controls just because he's bored. With every single hour that passes, the man they knew is just getting erased, replaced by this arrogant, totally unpredictable new being.
So all of this puts Captain Kirk in just an awful spot. This isn't some monster of the week they can just fight. This is his best friend, a guy who's known for years who is becoming the monster.
And this is the real heart of the story. On one hand, you've got Spock, the voice of pure, cold logic. He lays it out. Mitchell's power is growing exponentially. Pretty soon, to him, we're all just going to be like ants. Spock's solution is brutal and simple. Kill Mitchell. Now, while you still can. But Kirk, he just can't do it. He's paralyzed by his loyalty, by 15 years of memories. He can't bring himself to murder the man he knows is still in there somewhere.
And then Spock just twists the knife. He brings it all back to that ghost ship, the Valiant. He figures its captain faced this exact same problem, and he waited too long. His humanity, his hesitation, got his entire crew killed. That final order to self-destruct, that was him trying to fix his mistake when it was already too late.
So Kirk, he can't bring himself to kill his friend, but he also knows he can't keep him on the Enterprise. He comes up with a compromise. Delta Vega. It's a completely automated mining planet, totally deserted. A supply ship only stops by once every 20 years. It's Kirk's desperate attempt to maroon Mitchell where he can't hurt anyone. It's not really a solution, it's a life sentence on a rock.
Of course, a guy who can now read minds isn't just going to let himself be dropped off on some deserted planet. The final showdown is coming, and it's going to happen on the desolate surface of Delta Vega.
And by the time they get to Delta Vega, the man they knew is just gone. He's not Gary Mitchell anymore. He talks about himself like a deity, a being for whom right and wrong are just, suggestions. The power didn't just corrupt him, it completely devoured his humanity.
Mitchell kills another crewman like it's nothing and escapes down to the planet. And that's it. Kirk knows the time for half measures is over. He grabs a phaser rifle to go after him, and he leaves Spock with a terrifying order. If I don't make it back, you blow this entire planet off the star charts. The stakes are now as high as they can possibly get.
When Kirk finds him on the surface, his old friend is standing in a beautiful green oasis that he just created out of nothing on a dead rocky world. That's the level of power we're talking about now. He's not just moving stuff with his mind, he's literally remaking a world. It's a stunning, scary visual of how far beyond us he's gone.
And this is where it all comes to a head. This is where we learn the tragic and very real price of having absolute power.
As they finally face off, Mitchell just mocks Kirk's sentimentality. He tells him that trying to be a commander and a compassionate person at the same time is a fool's mixture. He's basically saying that to be truly powerful, you have to cut out all that messy human emotion. It's his new rulebook.
But in the end, it's that so-called weakness that gives him a chance. Dr. Daner, the ship's psychiatrist, remember she was affected by the barrier too. Her powers have been growing, but she's been fighting to hold on to her humanity. In a critical moment, she chooses the crew, she chooses compassion, and attacks Mitchell, weakening him for just a second.
And in that tiny window, Kirk finally makes the choice he's been running from. He fires his phaser rifle, but not at Mitchell. He fires it at the cliff above him, starting a massive rock slide. He has to kill his best friend, not in some clean fight, but by burying him alive under tons of rock. It's a brutal, heartbreaking end.
And yet, in his final act as Mitchell's friend and captain, Kirk completely rejects his cynical new philosophy. In his official log, he chooses compassion. He lies. He reports that his friend died a hero, saving the memory of the man he was, not the monster he became. Turns out command and compassion wasn't such a fool's mixture after all.
And in the very last moments, even Mr. Spock, the logical Vulcan, admits that he felt emotion over what happened. It's this powerful final note showing that this tragedy was so human, so profound, that it broke through even his logic. Some things you just can't reason your way through.
So it leaves us with a question that's as relevant today as it ever was. The story seems to say that what kept Kirk grounded was his compassion, his loyalty, his grief. Without those human anchors, if you suddenly had that kind of absolute power, what would stop you from becoming a monster? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.